Hey guys, so I thought it was about time I sat down and did a video. It's been 7 months since my op. I'm so sorry, it's just things happen with the op and then things after have been a bit crazy, so I just really haven't had the time to sit down and give you guys an insight of how the op went and life after. Just quickly, my hair looks a mess because it's really badly fallen out at the moment, and I read that if you put really tight hairstyle in, it can aid hair loss, so I've kind of got it loosely clipped back, so yeah, that's why it looks horrible. Anyway, so the day of my op, it was the 19th of June 2019. I had to get to the hospital for 7 because I had to have like an internal examination. Obviously, if you don't remember, I'm taking part in the medical study where they check how your reproductive system is before the surgery versus after the surgery. So I had to have that, and then at 7:30 I had to get to the ward. When I arrived, me and my parents were taken into a little room on our own, and I had like a hospital gown in there that I had to get into. If I keep saying it's just because I'm trying to remember it correctly. I don't want to give you misinformation, so that's why. Okay, so yeah, I got into the hospital gown, and the anaesthetist came round, asked me a few questions, and then we were just sat there waiting. It was from, like I said, 7:30 until 12:30 I think I was taken down, or 12 or 12:30 I was taken down for my op. But I was given some tablets that they said would just calm me down and relax me a bit. And then yeah, so it got to about 12:30. Someone come and got me and said, "You're ready, we can go to the surgery room, the theatre, sorry, I forgot the name of it." I just walked into theatre. There were quite a few nurses around and obviously the surgeon. I was really positive. I just felt so excited. I was just so happy to finally be there to have my op. So they put the cannula in my left arm, and then a nurse put like a mask over my face. My eyes started feeling really heavy, and yeah, that's all I knew. I fell asleep and woke up back on the ward. So I was on the high dependency unit when I woke up, and I was still really hazy because the anaesthetic hadn't worn off. I just remember being really emotional and tired, and then I fell asleep, and when I woke up I was back on the normal ward. When I got onto the ward, my parents came to see me about 10 minutes after I was there, or after I'd woken up, sorry, and they said to me, the op took 4 hours, and I was like, what? And they said that basically something went wrong, so it took 4 hours. And then yeah, we just chatted a bit. I was just tired, emotional, and so they left about, so I think I was on the ward at about 7, and they left about 8:30. So then when my parents had left, the doctor came round, or the surgeon, sorry, and he explained what had happened. So he did me a diagram so I could figure out what actually happened. So this is my stomach. That little big bit that's squiggled in is the excess stomach that they were removing, and then that tube is the tube he used to guide himself so he could cut the right way. So he said he was cutting, and at one point he felt like he was cutting through the tube, and then he thought nothing of it. He didn't think like anything had happened, and then he could definitely feel like he was cutting the tube. So he had to get another camera to take a look at what was happening, or move the camera to take a look at what's happening. And basically the tube, can you see it? Yeah, the tube had gone into the bit of stomach that he was set to remove, which isn't good. And because the tube had moved, he had basically cut inches away from the edge of my stomach, basically cutting my whole stomach off and leaving me with nothing, basically. So he had to call in another surgeon, and they had to put their heads together and figure out what they were going to do in order to basically save my life. They decided they were going to do like a 360 hand stitch, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly what he said, and stitch around my stomach so that it was all together. They managed to do that. It did take 4 hours. I forgot to show you. So this is what he did. So can you see? Yeah. So basically that little bit on the edge is, if you can see, that's how my stomach looked when he cut. He nearly cut the stomach away, so he had to get another surgeon, and like I just said, they'd done a 360 all the way around stitch. So yeah, he told me that happened, and he said I had to be nil by mouth. If you're not aware of what that means, it basically means I can't drink or eat for 24 hours or until the next morning. I had to have all my liquids through a cannula. And then the next morning I would have to drink some dye, and he would get a scan of how my stomach is to make sure there's no leakages. And then that night I woke up and my arm was so painful, the arm with the cannula in, and it was swollen. So some nurses came, because obviously I pressed the nurse's bell and took it out, and then I think a nurse came round about an hour or so later to put a new one in the opposite arm. It took her about 45 minutes, I'm not even over exaggerating, to get this cannula in, because obviously I was dehydrated and my veins are hard to find anyway, and then I have fat arms, so that's even worse. So yeah, it took her really long to actually get the new cannula in, and then the next day I was feeling much better. So I had my scan at about 12:30, and by the time I got back, the surgeon was there and said everything is fine, there's no leakages, you're able to drink, and we'll give you something to eat at supper time. Food was disgusting, and this isn't me saying hospital food. Puree food is the most vile thing ever. Honestly, it is disgusting. The only thing I really would eat was, like, because a lot of the time I would have cauliflower as my protein, cauliflower cheese as my protein, so a lot of the time I was just eating the cauliflower and leaving the veg and mash. The day I went home, I saw the surgeon, and he just spoke to me. Obviously I already knew that I have 11 incisions rather than 5 or 6 like someone would generally have. I'll put a picture of some of my incisions up in this video. So yeah, I have 11 incisions because of my body shape, he said, and because things went wrong, they had to make more incisions to try and access everything and make sure it went okay. So yeah, I have 11 scars. I'm not too fussed about them, they're only small, and it's changed my life, so I can't complain. And he just said I'll be back in 3 months to have my checkup. So yeah, I went home, and it was so amazing to be home. Then I think about 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks after I got home, I had started being sick. Like, it started with just the morning I got up and I was sick, then it started working throughout the day, and for 3 weeks, the middle of July till the middle of August, I was sick. I was like throwing up constantly. So I rang the hospital. Sorry, I'm just getting the letter with the information about that. And they booked me in for another appointment. So it was the 21st of August, I went back to the hospital, and I had to have my stomach stretched. They said I was going to be first, but then because I was dehydrated, like, by the time I got to the ward, it's pretty far from the entrance of the hospital. So by the time I got there, I was dizzy, I couldn't focus on anything, my head was just so hazy. So yeah, I just felt disorientated. So the surgeon was like, okay, we need to get your fluids up. So I got a cannula again, I had to do a urine sample. And so I didn't actually go down until I think 1. I think it was like 1. I was there quite a lot because I had to sleep as well because I was so tired. Obviously I hadn't been able to sleep much because I kept throwing up in the night. So yeah, I went to the ward, I had the appointment, and I had the procedure. So he had to stretch the entrance of my stomach about 18 millimeters. He said it was only a tiny bit, but sometimes when the stomach heals with a sleeve, the entrance can tighten, so that's why he had to stretch it. I woke up in the ward, in the theatre, straight, like as they were about to wheel me to the ward, and I was just so happy. Immediately I felt relief and happier, not sick anymore, not dizzy. I just felt so good. And yeah, I went home the same day. That was my whole recovery. It was a long day on my op, and a long few weeks following that. But right now I'm feeling good and everything's going fine. Thank you so much, and I'm so sorry about the really long wait. But yeah, take care, and hopefully you'll be watching the next video. If you want to keep up to date with any of my posts, I do have Instagram, which is narwhal to unicorn, so feel free to check that out. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.